sat back here, and he pulls out his journal, his little diary there, and he pulls out a pen, and he kind of cocks his head to the side. And his eyes get wide. My eye get wide. And he starts writing. Like everything she said, he started writing. Now, this guy, he like knows everything, right? But no matter what, when he saw someone new, he just started writing feverishly, like it was his life depended on it. And I'd never seen him in that state before. I thought it was really interesting. So later on, I got a chance to ask him. I said, Tony, what was that like? I noticed that, well, for the first time, all of a sudden I saw your face just kind of did this weird look, you know? I said, honestly, you look like a little kid. And he said, exactly. He said, well, let me tell you something. He has kind of raspy voice. He said, well, he said, I want to learn something new here. So whenever I want to learn something new, what's the state, what's the age when you were learning the most? You guys remember when you're 5 years old now, can't you? You guys remember that? Maybe not consciously, but at some level, you all remember when you're 5 years old. And the world is wondrous, right? Everything's open and there's all the possibilities. So he said the easiest way to do that is to get your physiology, to get that physical part, right? To get the physiology to that of a 5-year-old. So try it right now. That's what I did. How would you sit if you were 5 years old? Go ahead and sit that way right now. How would you sit if you're 5 years old? Come on. There you go. I'm not messing around. Sit like you're 5 years old. That's it. And that's exactly what we do, right? Cross-legged on the floor. How would you breathe being 5 years old right now? Breathe the way you breathe being 5 years old. Like you're wondering, you know, like when you're sitting there, like maybe you listen to a grandfather or like that person in your life, maybe the grandfather you wish you had, the one that, you know, would tell you stories. And as you listen to something like that, and you're just always waiting for the next thing, waiting for that next word, you know, always wondering, like on the tip of your tongue, it's about to come out. You're about to hear something really important. Like the weight of the world depends on what's going to happen next. Because it does. So I thought, that's a good idea. Maybe I'll get like I'm 5 years old. That would be cool. And when you're 5 years old, I wonder if you can get curious. See, I'd always get curious when I was 5. I'd always wonder, right? Like, I mean, you've all been curious before right now, haven't you? Well, sure you have. Like maybe it was like your birthday or Christmas coming up or something. And I got to tell you, I remember when it was my birthday when I first moved out on my own. I was 19 years old and I first moved to my first apartment. And, well, I came upstairs one day. It had been a month since I moved in. No one knew where I lived. But right there, sitting on my porch steps, it was up on the second floor. So first floor for America, second floor, ground, first, second, you get the idea. We were up like one flight of stairs. Floor 1, we were on floor 2. So we're up there in 1, 2, 1, whatever it was, and we're up there on the thing, and I looked on the landing, and there was this package. There was this gift sitting there. Now, I knew it was a gift because, well, my birthday was coming up. And you know what it's like when your birthday's coming up, and all of a sudden, you get this package, this gift right in front of you. And I was like, ooh. So I went down, and I picked it up, and guys, when you get a present, what do you do with it? You shake it, right? Unless it's a puppy. You shake it. Because you want to know if it's clothes or if it's something good. Because if it shakes good, it is good, right? Slide, thud. Slide, thud. It's like, ooh, that's a good one. Because the slide and the shake makes the present. So I took it and I opened up the card. And it was for my boss. And it was one of those really annoying musical cards. You know the kind that like sing happy birthday to you and shit? Like... that nobody likes, but everybody still buys. So you open it up, and it was like, happy birthday to you. I'm a singer. That's what I did before I spoke. So, and I look at you can tell, and I look at the card, and, you know, it said, happy birthday, Matt, and I'm trying to read it. I made the mistake, if you've done this before, you're reading one of these cards, and you make the mistake of you read it, but you're not quite done reading it, and you accidentally shut it halfway to hit the censor, but you have to finish reading it because you don't want to be, you know, a bad person. So you open it back up, and then it sings all over again. It's like keeps on singing. So I read it, and it's from my boss, and it says, "Happy birthday, Matt. I know your birthday's not for a couple weeks, but he was going off to Thailand for a holiday, and he said, I wanted to give you your birthday present early. You can't open it until your birthday." Oh. So I took the present, and I want to respect him, so I took the present, and I went inside. And I set it down on the counter. And I went to bed, looking at it. And I go to sleep that night. I wake up in the morning, and I'm getting ready for work, right? This happened every day for 2 weeks. I'm eating my bowl of cereal, and I'm looking at the present. Just wondering what was inside. You know that intense, severe curiosity you get right now? Just what's in that box? What am I meant to get here? What's going to happen? You know the kind. And what I realize is when I can take that kind of curiosity along with me, and I can take that with my clients, and I can apply it to myself, and everything I go through from this point forward, that's the exact curiosity that you need to have this if you're really going to go forward and, well, create those results that you want. You know the kind. We all do. Now, the first thing, the very first one, I promise you 3 things. I'll tell you real quickly because I'm almost out of time because it happens like this. So 3 things. That kind of went off track. I never do that. Don't tell anybody. Sometimes people say I go off on tangents, and I don't think that's accurate. Yeah, that's right. Because as you think about that, it's a very simple thing. You see, when you look inside that box of results, around inside that box, there are 3 things. The first one, very simply, this is only for you. If you really want to know what's going to change your entire life and what's going to get you from point A to point B, I'm just curious, by the way, how many people here have decided they've signed up for an accelerated program, they're here with one of the coaches, they're doing either properties, trading, something like that. Who decided to go forward and do something in their life? Outstanding. Give these guys a big hand. Give them a huge, huge hand. This is cool. What's cool about this is you now have a possibility. You have a possibility to make this work. You also have a possibility to f this up. Let's just be accurate here. Is that fair? Good. Now, being fair, here's what happens. In this industry, in a seminar industry, there's a 90% chance of people either losing money or not doing anything at all with whatever it is they take home with them. So you have something with you probably to take home with you, or webinars or coaching or whatever it is, you have something to go home with. And there's a 90% chance. That means out of 10 people, 9 people will either not do anything with it, they'll put it up on the shelf, and they'll put it up on the shelf and they'll go, wow, that is so cool. I can hardly wait to go get into this. That's neat. I can't wait. And they go to sleep. And they wake up in the morning and they'll look at it again and they'll go, oh yeah, that's going to be great. I invested a lot of money in this. I invested my time in this. I can't wait to start trading. That's going to be cool. This is going to be so good to be free. And then they go home. Day after day, if they don't touch it, eventually they go into that 90% mark, right? But don't worry. Come here. Everybody, can you just gather around real quick? There's a secret. There's also 10%. The 10% are the percentage of people. That means out of 10 people, there's 1, right? How many are here? A couple hundred people? 10%, that means 10, 20 people, right? 10% of the people here who decide to do something in the future, taking something home with them to move into the future, 10% of those people will in fact create fortunes. They will in fact make money with it. They will in fact make opportunity. They will in fact make business, make trading, whatever it is. And then they'll of course use that money to do something with it. Because you guys know money's not the end game, right? I think we've already figured that out. I'm sure you've been here for 4 days. I haven't. I was kind of sitting in the hospital. You've been here, you know that money's not what you're after, right? Some of you are like, no, Matt, trust me, money's what I'm after. No, you know that money's not what you're after, but what you're after is what money's going to do. Pretty accurate, right? So if we're looking for that, now, I don't think money's the answer. I don't think money's the end-all, be-all, but what I will tell you is it's a lot easier to go be free and do all the shit you want to do if you have money. It just is. It's a fact of life. We're in a capitalist Western society, so live with it. If you don't like money, if you still don't like it and you want to stay away from it, you're probably in the wrong seminar. And if you really, really don't like it, go live with the deers and the bears out in the bush. They don't have any money. They get along just fine. It's not a big deal. But you get that whatever it is that you really do want, you will need cash to do that, right? So my job is to make you successful. My job is above all else to contribute to you and make sure that I can I've learned how to become a millionaire. I've also learned, that she didn't tell you, I learned how to become bankrupt. I've done both. I created millions, and within a year and a half, I also became bankrupt, and I made it back. So who here would like to learn how to become a millionaire? Anybody? Raise your hand. Just curious. Good. Who here would like to learn how to become bankrupt? I've got 1, 2. Good. I got a few smart people. That's good. Accelerator program. You see, here's the thing, you guys. You need to learn how to do both. I didn't say do both. You don't have to do both, but you want to learn how to do both. See, if I can learn, now I know the strategy to be a millionaire and I know the strategy to be bankrupt. Therefore, I can have the former and avoid the latter. Make sense? Right? There's simple strategies involved in all of them. Now, real quick, the first thing is this. Of these 10% of you, right, 10, 20 people, however many I have here, do you think it's really the program that makes you or loses you your money? Is it the program, yes or no? Be honest with me. No, it's not the program. Of course not. You see, I know most of these speakers myself. A lot of them are really dear friends of mine. You know, these guys, they know their stuff, right? Troy Beer, you saw Troy this weekend? Was he here? Yeah, I miss Troy. I love him. Troy's awesome. His stuff works. George Focus' stuff works. Like the guy's stuff, it works. It's real. Mark is a dear friend. We were chatting just outside before I went on to try to catch up for 10 minutes. And Mark's stuff works, right? But what's the difference between one person making it work and 9 people not making it work? Is it Mark? Yes or no? No! It's you. Right? Hey, I have an eye. What do you think? It's not bad. Yeah. It's kind of bright. Come back to that. There we go. That's good. See, it wasn't all the board holders in the circle that made me, have to heal my eye. It wasn't the board holders. Who was it? Who chose to be in there? I chose to hold boards. I chose to contribute. I chose to focus intently on one person and not have my hawk allowed, not have my peripheral vision activated. I chose to heal my eye, right? And that's more accurate, of course, to say because my eye is healing. Just talk about language for a second. So the first thing, I told you I'd get to the first thing. I'm going to tell you the first thing. The first thing is in a second. Now, the first thing that stops us is negative emotions from the past. Very, very accurate. Now, if this sounds old to you or new to you or whatever, write it down. There's only a few basic emotions that we experience on a daily basis. A few positives, a few negatives, and you guys know that. The negative emotions from the past do, in fact, create the results into our future. How do they do that? Well, how likely are you to go make money if you feel guilty about being rich? How likely are you to go out and work out at the gym if you're scared that all your fat friends are going to leave you and not want to hang out with you anymore? How likely are you to go get in a great relationship if you're angry at the opposite sex? Right? How likely are you to go create your fortunes and go do the trading if in the back of your mind, that child mind of yours is thinking about when you're 4 years old watching your parents fight over a checkbook? Ooh, money equal bad, I don't want it, stay away. Or you did the opposite. You saw them fighting over a checkbook and you said, ooh, money equal bad, I better get some so I don't have to do that. And then you became one of those heartless, ruthless business people who were successful but don't really have a great happy life. I'm sure you can think of some people that make money. My first mentor, he was a genius when it came to real estate. He taught me how to do real estate. I bought my first house at 19. I started moving from there, and I bought lots of properties, and I opened a mortgage business when I was 22, and he helped me do all those types of things. Now, I did not model him in his relationships. I did not model him in his spiritual beliefs. I did not model him in his health. He was overweight. He was white. He didn't work out. He had horrible relationships. He was not the person to model in those aspects, but he knew how to make money. Chances are, what kind of emotions did he have around money? He had a lot of fear around money. Right? Make sense? I'll tell him to this day. That's exactly what he was going through. He had fear that if I didn't have it, I would be stuck with what I had before. Right? But I'm curious. What's the difference? What's the difference between the two people? What's the difference between that choice? The young man who looks at the checkbook and his parents fighting over it and says, I better get some, compared to the young man who says, I better stay away from it. What do you think? Yeah, it's the meaning you attach. It's how you look at it. The beliefs. It's all those things. So what's the key element, though? The key element is, how is it that you specifically form those beliefs, attitudes, values around the money? That's what I do. That's my life has been around for the last 12 years of my life. Since I was an adult, I decided to get around to understand how this thing works, how the mind works, right? What goes on between these ears? What goes on? What are the specific neural pathways? It's very simple. There's not too much into it. These negative emotions. So what we need to do is, of course, is clear the negative emotions. I want you to imagine, you guys have seen like Surface Paradise and Broad Beach and all the big skyscrapers out here, right? So you know how buildings are built? They have a solid foundation. Then they put on the first layer, second one, third one, fourth one, all the way up to layer whatever, right? Up to Q1. Now I'm curious if you know that your emotions work the same way. Like, who's here has ever been angry before? Anyone been angry? Raise your hand. Say, not now. But you've been angry before, right? Someone's been angry before. Do you think this was the first time you were ever angry? Do you think maybe you were angry before that incident? Maybe you got angry at least once? Do you remember being angry as a teenager? Do you remember being angry as an adolescent? Mom and Dad don't know. Ooh. Do you remember being angry as a kid? Well, I remember being so angry when my brother pinned me down. He's 3 years older than me, and he pinned me down. You know, you do the little older brother stuff. I was so mad. I wish I was big enough to beat him up. Right? But do you think that was the first time I was angry? No. Here's how it works. Somewhere, a long, long time ago, we were sitting along, and we're sitting in our little crib, right? We're little babies, 6 months old, a year old, just kind of playing with our little rattle. Wah, wah, having fun. And then all of a sudden, everything's cool, and then you drop your rattle on your head, maybe. And you get this feeling. Now, you don't know what it is because you never had it before. You don't have a label for it. You don't say, ooh, mommy, I am very angry, because, you're 6 months old. But it's the same feeling. It's that, ooh, I don't like this. It's not good. And then it happens again, right? The days go by, the weeks go by, whatever it is, and all of a sudden everything's cool, and then you cry because you're hungry, and no one comes to get you. Ooh, now I'm really mad, right? And it happens again. And eventually what happens is this emotion is not different. It's the same stacked emotion on top of itself over and over and over again, until by the time you're 35 years old, you're driving down the road, and somebody forgets to put their indicator on in the car and goes over on you, and you son of a freaking kill you! What do you think you're doing? Get out of your car! And you snore at them. And they go, dude. Now, was that an appropriate reaction for somebody possibly forgetting to maybe not look over their shoulder? Was that appropriate, yes or no? No. Some people are like, hell yeah, it was. No, it's not appropriate. But here's the thing. That reaction is not you reacting to somebody cutting you off, is it? No, that was a trigger that brought back the entire, what we call gestalt, or the entire skyscraper of the anger emotion. Does that make sense? So when you're feeling that anger in that moment, you're not feeling the anger of that. You're feeling the anger of every single anger you've ever had since you were this big. Okay? That's how that works. So we have an imagine there. Imagine looking out at Surface Paradise. You have a gestalt or a skyscraper of anger. We have a gestalt or a skyscraper of sadness, of fear. Sorry, fia. We have fia. A skyscraper of hurt, and a skyscraper of guilt, and several others, right? So we have these skyscrapers. Now I'm curious to ask you. It seems like a big deal. Like, you don't have to raise your hand, but I'm sure some of you have maybe been to therapy before. You've been to a psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, family counselor, that kind of thing. People have been to that before. Now here's the thing. What do they usually do? Well, tell me about it. Tell me all about it. Come here. Sit down. Sit down on my couch. I wish I had another chair so I could sit on a couch. And they tell you to sit down and tell me all about it. Have you guys ever seen that show, Dr. Phil? Who's ever seen Dr. Phil before? You heard of Dr. Phil? Right? Well, Dr. Phil, he has a big idea. He'll tell you, well, that's your problem. See, you're just angry about that. See, that's your problem. You got locked in a closet when you were 10. Just stop it. Just knock it off. You're hurting her. Oh, okay. Thanks, Dr. Phil. It's that simple, right? Oh, okay, I'll just stop that. Thank you very much. See, that's cognitive therapy. Now, all due respect to Dr. Phil and every therapist out there and every psychologist, what I'll tell you, though, is we do something different. What we do tends to look like therapy sometimes, but it's not. See, therapists will tell you to tell me your problems and tell me all about it and tell me how you feel about it. Have you ever told someone how you felt about something and then later on you still felt crappy? Talking doesn't fix stuff. Now, sometimes it's useful, I'll give you that, and I do that sometimes. Sometimes I just listen to people. But talking doesn't fix anything. What changes things, what changes these negative emotions that have been ruling our present moment is knocking out the skyscraper. Knocking it out. Now, I'm curious. You know what you tell people is the problem? Like, oh, well, I think I'm scared because when I was 10 years old, I got locked in the closet and my brother laughed at me and all these things, and that's why I'm all screwed up. You know that story, you know that BS that we tell people? You know, the backstory? Yeah. Well, what do you think it was? You know, all the backstory we tell people, all that BS, that's just a story, right? And all the stories in your skyscraper don't amount to anything. That's not why you feel what you feel. They're just the stories in the skyscraper. So I'm curious, what would happen if, the stories were perhaps all the paperwork inside, right, in the office buildings. What would happen if someone came to the skyscraper and they knocked out the foundation layer? Bam! Knocked it out. What would happen? It would collapse, right? It would be gone. Now, if you knocked out the foundational layer, would it really matter what kind of desks and computers and paperwork were inside? Yes or no? Are you sure? What if you didn't deal with it? What if you didn't tell someone about it and cry about it? Would it still be there? No, it's in a big pile of rubble. It's gone. What we do is we literally knock out that foundational layer of the skyscraper to make sure the entire building collapses. And here's the funny thing. People would always describe it differently. Some people describe it as feeling very light, lighter than they've ever been. Some people describe it as just feeling good. Some people describe it as like weird because for the first time in their life, somebody does something and they don't get angry anymore. Can you imagine that? Like you don't actually react with that anger. Now, if it's troubling, it really is something to be angry about. Yeah, you can be angry, right? If somebody hurts you or hurts someone you love, yeah, you'd probably still feel anger. It doesn't make you a zombie or anything. That's not what happens. But what it does do is it allows you the freedom of choice. It allows you to choose how you feel moving forward. Wouldn't that be different for what you're about to do for the next week, the next month? So what you're about to get into from this point forward is you're about to start applying what you've been learning. Aren't you? Somebody has to. It ain't going to be me. You got to do it. As you start to apply what you've been learning, moving forward, if you have the anger about that, you're going to apply it very differently. Most of you, I promise you, I'm not judging you guys. This is a great room. I've been hearing rave reviews from every speaker and all the staff and the Smurfs. Everyone's been saying this is, and I'll tell you so far, it's been pretty freaking cool. From all the events we do all year long, I don't know if it's just the Gold Coast, if it's the end of the year, if it's just you guys, it's probably you guys. But I'll tell you what, it's freaking good. You have a high probability of going out and doing this stuff. The challenge is that emotional feeling, right? See, I can't make you do anything. You have the freedom of choice. But I promise you something. I promise you, the majority of you statistically have fear about success. The majority of you